All right, CrossFit family, we are back, and we are here for individual event number 1. This is day 1 at the West Coast Classic. Folks, we got some athletes looking to punch their ticket to the CrossFit Games in Fort Worth, Texas later this summer. Now,
an 800-meter run.
Yeah, and here's what we're looking at, folks. So we can lay the scene here. This workout is specifically 5 rounds for time of an 800-meter run, okay? So that's why the athletes just appeared. They got to go out for 800 meters, and then they're going to do 10 clean and jerks at 125 pounds. Now, we've seen this workout be executed at several other semifinals, right? So we kind of have an idea some times to beat. We see, of course, this beautiful graphic of Gabby Magawa there, as she is one of the top times and top performers so far. Evan, what were your initial thoughts when you saw this workout, my man?
You know, every time I see any CrossFit workout, I'm still at that phase where it's a challenge, you know. I like seeing less movements in a workout, so seeing that it's 2 always in my mind feels easier, but you know it's usually the harder workouts that happen whenever you see it like that. So, but I have been doing more running, and so I think I would feel good about that. But man, that with the weightlifting movement is going to be a challenge, I think.
Well, and it's important to keep in mind that I will never forget this, last weekend as I am at the French Throwdown, Lazar Jukic coming off of the floor and just saying, that was a clean and jerk workout. It wasn't a running workout. And it caught me a little off guard. And the more athletes I spoke to, they would agree with that sentiment. But on paper, to me, this looks like a running workout.
For sure.
Yeah, and I think when we get down to the crux of it, that's an important part of some of my Go Ruck steps to success that you just mentioned, is that in this workout, athletes got to pace, not race. It's so tempting to come out hot because you can. I mean, we're here with a beautiful atmosphere. We're at sea level. Like, the oxygen is going to be pumping for these athletes that are primed.
Yeah.
Like, this is their opportunity to punch a ticket to the CrossFit Games. So they want to set the stage and do it well. But equally, if you start too fast, you're going to be in a bad spot later. And this is 5 rounds. You mentioned that Lazar made it seem like this is a clean jerk workout. This clean jerk workout, well, you're still going to be spending most of your time running no matter how you skin it. So it's important to understand. And then the second step is that mechanics matter. Most of what we see take place here, we're going to be watching the athletes clean and jerk. We don't have a camera. We don't got a live shot of these guys taking off on a run. Otherwise, we'd be breaking down running mechanics. We'd be like, this guy's not looking good. This girl's not looking good. But right now, the mechanics that they bring to the table with this clean and jerk, this weight is a weight that has easily set a trap for these athletes. 125 pounds. There's not one woman in this field that addresses the bar in such a way that like it's a max or even sub-maximal. So if they don't have accuracy in their power cleans and in their push jerks and make sure the bar stops where they want it to and finishes where they want it to, every rep they're bleeding out energy, right? And so that lack of efficiency is going to come back to haunt a lot of them because they're going to do 50 clean and jerks in this workout.
Woo! Evan, last weekend we saw Amy Kringle go unbroken the first round. Maybe it was the first and second round. Then did some cluster sets. And she was the only athlete to really have that approach. Would that be your approach? Or would you go for singles right from the get-go?
So I think for me, it's harder for me to learn to pace myself and find a good pace. I'm that type, I think, where mentally I just want to go 110 at everything. And which sounds crazy because recently, just lost 70 pounds since the CrossFit Games last year.
Wow, so congratulations, man.
Thank you. I'm into and it's CrossFit, I mean, it really is. And it's the community supporting me. But I'm learning, how to treat this like a sport and not just go wide open on everything. So I think I would have to force myself to slow down. What's the running course here? Is it out of the stadium?
Oh, you bring up a great point of question here.
Right.
Adrian, take it away.
Curious. They disappeared for a minute.
Yeah, they disappeared and they just happened to reappear again. Right about that 3-minute mark is when we saw some athletes already making their way into the stadium. Now, the course that these athletes are taking part in, they run out of the stadium underground into a tunnel. There's a slight incline in the initial stage of the run, and then it goes flat for about 75 meters, and then we got a slight decline. Then they're into the next stadium next door, which is known historically as is a soccer stadium. It literally is a soccer stadium. There will be a professional soccer game going down there tomorrow
night, right? I'm trying to be at it.
Isn't that crazy?
So
they
will,
cool.
They will be in the soccer stadium there. They won't run all the way up to that historical berm that we've referenced and seen throughout the history of competing here, but they'll run just shy of that and across the stadium. So they'll run a few rows up and then across the stadium. From what we understand, the path is relatively wide enough so that they can be making moves throughout. It's most wide somewhere in the middle underground where it like really kind of opens up.
Okay.
But they're going to have the opportunity to make moves within the run. And I think early, Evan, what we were talking about yesterday is like, wow, when they're up on that berm, there's not a lot of space and a lot of place to maneuver. So you would have to like get in a spot and be locked in. But it seems as though these athletes, the course here, there's a little up, there's a little down, and then they come back around and get back in the stadium.
But great point made earlier about the weather right now, because if I was going to run or have to run and work out outside, this is the ideal weather, I think, to do it in. Sun's not bad, temperature's good. What are we at, 70 right now, maybe?
You can't beat it.
63 is what it says on my watch. But
wow. Perfect.
Yeah, it literally is perfect. If you're coming from the neck of the woods where I'm from Salt Lake City.
Okay,
so I'm
I'm from
right
Alabama,
now,
so I'm
from up here in the elevation, so I come down and I'm like, oh, this feels like a running atmosphere.
Yeah, the elevation's a great point. Yeah, I'm born and raised in Alabama, but living in Nashville now, and it's humid. It's so humid, so I don't know if you could. It would be a different event outside in that neck of the woods.
So this feels much better, is what you're saying.
I went on a run this morning before I came here, and I was like, this is my ideal running weather.
You should get out there with them.
Mix it up,
Yeah, I'll tell you what, we've got some stout athletes that are taking the floor right now. Of course, this is heat 1 of only 2 heats. So throughout the course of the weekend, if you guys are following along with us, we're going to be breaking these athletes down. They'll be taking the floor in 10s most often, but we've got 20s out there right now. And in this list of 20, we got Mariana Bell, Julia Holm, Katrina Olsen, Caitlin Bernardin, Kelsey Peterson, Jamie Hagia, someone whose name that a lot of folks will remember. She historically competed here in Carson, California as an individual athlete, and now is in the Masters category, but turns out she's still a little bit fit. Jamie also a part of our commentary team. So
last year on the broadcast, this year on the competition floor.
Yeah, she just kind of took a year off from commentary just so she could show how fit she actually was again.
There we go.
We got Annalise Moore on the competition floor, Amy Hosking. We've got Emily White, Kelsey Keel, Morgan Porter, Mariana Meza, Hannah Erickson, Kendall Gilmore, Alex Degamo, Abriana Montpilliser, Elia Miller, Sienna Lalonde, and Brittany Chestnut, all out on the floor. Now, right now, they're out on the run. They will be right back in, so that's why you're looking at our smiling faces here. We know that this is a couplet, and we know that historically, Evan, you mentioned this. When a workout's simple, you're learning real quick in the CrossFit space. Not that you got a lot of years of experience, my man, but you're learning real quick that when it's simple, it's devastating.
It's devastating. It's like, it's so beautiful about it, right? Because you see the two movements. Talking about Murph coming up, right? Murph seems simple on paper. Now
until
the rep
you do
count until you do it, right? So it's the ones that are complex to me that mess with my mind more. It's the ones that are less movements like this. I would see that and automatically think, I'm going to crush this, and then you're doing it and you get done, and it's like one of those deals where you just talk about how crazy it was, right?
And as we watch lane 4, Carissa Stapp was the first one back to her barbell. She led the charge on the first round as well, folks. So we're starting to see some athletes populate back on the competition floor. In lane 17, we've got Caitlin Bernardin, who is also at work on her barbell. Again, all these athletes choosing singles so far, which means that they're going to do a clean, then a jerk, then drop the bar for the next repetition. No touch and go going down. They're trying to save as much energy as they can. Lauren, we talked about it a little bit before this workout got going. You were like, maybe is it worth it doing touch and go? Is it worth it going clutches? We've seen some of it, right?
We did. And, well, I think for somebody like Amy Kringle, who ultimately got second in her heat last weekend at the French Throwdown, Chris Hinshaw said that over the course of the 5 rounds, she lost around 55 seconds by the last round. So was it worth it? I think we don't know, but maybe not. If she did singles from the beginning, she could have maybe pushed the run a little harder, and as a really strong runner, it could have paid out to ultimately beat Gabby Magawa, who holds the record right now. But so far seeing all of these athletes do singles, I think it's a good idea just keeping that heart rate down and knowing that there's a 30-minute time cap for this.
Right.
And each location, we said earlier, is a little bit different. So it's about 800 meters, but you factor in the stairs, you factor in the elevation.
Yep.
Those are all things that are going to play a part in your run pace. It's not just a straightaway 800 meter that you can base your time off
For
of.
sure. My girl Elia Miller out there.
Best hair in the game.
Best hair in the game. Listen, that's my thing. She should get a bonus for that, right? Because
way
that's
she
got to
works the
slow her
pony.
down on the run.
It's heavy.
I mean, dang.
Elia, to the right of your screen in the red bottoms with the long, luscious pony right there.
You can
flipping
see it
back
from
over her
here
head. Every
moving.
clean and
Yeah.
jerk, folks. That's who we're talking
Beautiful.
about.
Back on the run she goes.
Photographs well.
Yes.
And we're about 10 minutes and 30 seconds into this event, team, and what we're watching here is continued separation that's going to continue to grow, typically from the leaders of the pack through those who are bringing up the rear. The longer this test goes, the longer that we're going to have an opportunity to allow those athletes with a more broad aerobic capacity to continue to pull away. Lauren, you mentioned Chris Hinshaw. He's going to be joining us a little bit later on the show.
Love Chris.
Now,
Great guy.
we know that he's got a wealth of knowledge. We also know that he actually works with some specific individuals in the space. He was saying that, look, if you see athletes picking up and dropping that bar faster than just 5 seconds between reps, that could be a boatload of trouble for them as this work continues to add up.
He's a big pace guy. He's a big pace guy, right? I got a lesson from him when I was at Power Monkey last year. It was really cool. I was talking to him before this because I was much heavier then, and it was a challenge, but that was his thing, teaching the breathing, right? Teaching how to pace that, like if you're finding that rhythm and then staying in it. And it taught me a lot because it does help when you got to go to the distance.
But thinking and knowing that this is also the only event that individuals have to do today, you have to figure out what is pacing versus when am I going to step on the gas pedal and really make sure that I get a good score, because tomorrow they reseed once and then athletes have 2 events. So you're earning which heat you're going to be in today.
So that's when we do the Henshaw method, is tomorrow. Is what you're saying.
No, let me tell you something.
There's a balance.
Listen, the Henshaw method is the only method.
It's
right?
the
I say
only
that.
method.
We're coining it as the Henshaw method.
I was doing the Henshaw on my walk
that's
over
right.
here.
Hey, listen,
And look at you. You look great. You feel great.
that's the
The
difference.
Henshaw method.
But that's the difference between a competitive CrossFit athlete and an everyday CrossFit athlete.
Yeah.
Right? Is us really understanding the difference between proper pacing versus inconsistent pacing. And these athletes that have taken the floor, this is why they train for hours in a day. This is why they do double sessions in a day. Not just to build physical capacity, but from the lessons learned. We play this sport where it's mixed modal, which means we do gymnastics, we do weightlifting, we do running. This is weightlifting and monostructural, which is running, right? So when we got running and clean and jerks together, gosh, that could be so different for the 3 of us than running and front squats. So different between running and ring muscle-ups, right? Like, so there's so many different ways for us to learn how to pace. And of course, what Henshaw's trying to teach is like, you just got to nail it for what you have, right? And we already got women coming back into the stadium and they're ready to rock and roll. It looks like we still have, is it
Carissa Stapp
leading the way? But it looks like, I forget exactly where we got this next barbell. But see, lane 17. Is that Caitlin or is that Katrina? I think it's Caitlin Bernardin. She's the first to her barbell. Folks, so what you're watching this setup to, of course, this goes without explanation for our part. We've watched this go down several times already, but for you guys that are watching, there's a square style setup. Athletes all started at their markers, and then they all have to run the square in and out of the stadium to ensure that everyone's running the equal amount of distance. And now what I like about this setup, Evan, is that you can look right across the square into your competitor's eyes and be like, I'm picking up the barbell before you.
Yes, that makes it fun, right?
You ever do a class workout like that?
Yeah, for sure. Where I work out back in Nashville at H-Dub, they've got the squares put on the floor like that, right? And so you're kind of, depending on the setup, you're always staring at somebody, right? Usually I'm just trying not to black out. I'm still at that stage where I'm just trying to remain conscious throughout it.
I'm 8 years in and I'm still trying not to black out. And there, Caitlin is just passing out, but Okay, I want to mention the thing about the location of where they are. Even if though she finished before Carissa beat her on the run.
Right.
We'll see what happens as they approach the auditorium back to their barbell. But speaking of Carissa Stapp, she takes a top 10 in events with running 46% of the time.
Dang.
So she's a runner.
So she a runner, she a track star.
She took the words out of my mouth.
Oh, I love it. And to the left of your screen, we got an athlete from Idaho, Emily White, in the neon top and the blue shorts. And she, I know Lauren, succeeds very well when we've got weightlifting and monostructural piece together. So today, of course, we mentioned it happens to be the weightlifting piece is clean and jerks here that we're watching, and then the monostructural piece is running. So she's one of those athletes that we've got to continue to watch for as the work accumulates. Is she putting herself in a situation where maybe at the end she's going to really close the gap on the athletes that are leading the charge ahead of her? Because right now, those two that are leaders are substantially ahead of which it looks like Emily, who's going to be on their heels coming out of the stadium here.
Yeah, and for Emily White, she finishes in the top 10 75% of the time that there's monostructural and weightlifting movements. So as we get deeper into the workout, we'll see how that pans out.
We've got Kelsey Keel here to the bottom left of your screen, who has garnered a lot of attention in our space. She's been to the CrossFit Games on a team. She announced that she was going to be competing individually this year and really putting her focus forward on making it to the CrossFit Games. We know this isn't necessarily something that she would lean into as a personal strength. What are your thoughts on where Kelsey's going to end up here?
She has such an interesting story because she did punch her ticket to the CrossFit Games as an individual back in 2020 through Strength and Depth, where she finished 5th. But because that was the year of the pandemic and they ultimately sent 5 athletes to the CrossFit Games, her ticket was revoked. So took some time off, worked with the USA bobsled team, incredible, but ultimately came back, competed with a team a couple years after that, and now we see her back on the competition floor. Running wouldn't be a strength of hers, but it's something that she's putting a lot of work into. If you follow her on social media, you see she spends a lot of time doing burpees, a lot of time running. So for her, an event like this is just, try to have damage control, because when we see her later in the weekend on day 3 with the snatch ladder,
that's her jam.
That is her bread and butter, the weightlifting. So I'll be curious to see where she sits on the leaderboard once we get deeper into the weekend.
All right, remind me again, they're doing rounds or time here? What is the...
Yes, the answer is yes, Evan. They're doing
everything.
So they're doing 5 rounds, 800
Best
meters, 10 clean and jerks, 4 time. The best time is what will result in the best outcome here, my man.
5 rounds.
I appreciate you asking that, because
Well,
a lot of our
that's
viewers,
what I represent for the CrossFit community, is the people that are just getting into it. I was talking with the Buttery Bros the other day at dinner, and I was like, man, I'm so new to this.
Come on.
I'm new to this, and it's been around. Now, I remember when I was in the military and CrossFit was going on, I remember Rich Froning from the early days, watching the stuff when ESPN was broadcasting for a while, and then seeing the documentary they did on Rich, and I knew about it, right? But I didn't get into it until it's literally 2 years, probably right around the 2-year mark for me, and I love it.
If you knew about CrossFit for that long, I'm just curious, why did you wait, and what ultimately tipped you over to get in the box?
Excellent question. So I was a big weightlifter. I trained competition bench press when I was younger, and then, of course, went into the Army. I was in the Army infantry, went through Special Forces selection, wound up at a long-range surveillance unit, one deployment to Afghanistan, all that stuff. And so we would do CrossFit-style workouts in the military, especially in the special operations. That's why, Go Ruck and the military community is so big, I think, here, because it just fits really well. But I was just a weightlifter, right? And then occupied with the military, and then went through my thing, getting sober off opiates and losing weight and all that good stuff, and then came back around to it where I was actually, all right, I need to get in shape. Yeah. I know how to do it. My brother started doing it around the same time, and I got an older brother in Hendersonville, Tennessee, at CrossFit Hendersonville. And so, it was just one of those things I came into, and I knew I liked the weightlifting and the cardio aspect, and I liked that I knew I could get in shape and have results fast from really committing to doing it. And then the community is huge, because, like I said, I was 280 pounds at my height of 5'6", is bad out of shape. So I was intimidated by the CrossFit community, but they welcomed me in, and the results are showing, from what the community's done for me, and so I have a huge spot in my heart for CrossFit.
Man, I appreciate that. Right now, we are watching Caitlin Bernardin put on an absolute clinic. She somehow put a space of separation equal to about 50 seconds on that last 800 meter between her and Carissa Stapp. So they were kind of neck and neck, and the exit, 50 seconds difference. She's already been out the door, and Carissa still has one more clean and jerk left before she's going to be on her heels. So we've got a race that's really shaping up. But it's getting a bit exciting here towards the end. Like we mentioned, as time continues to pass, we're starting to see, have athletes nailed this pacing as we talked about earlier? Are they doing it Hinshaw style?
Hinshaw style.
Or
The
did they
ones
come
that are
out-
coached by Hinshaw are definitely doing it Hinshaw style.
Or did they do it too fast?
Well, even when Carissa got to her barbell, Caitlin was about 2 reps shy of going back on her run, and Carissa tried to do a couple touch and go reps, making up time, but then you saw that as she approached singles, her pace her speed per rep slowed down, and that might not pay off as she goes out on her next run here. 20 minutes in out of a 30-minute time cap.
We got fans entering the stadium. People are getting pumped.
It's just the
Beautiful
warm-up, too.
venue.
Day
Yeah.
one.
That's right. That's right.
This is just the appetizer. You
a
know,
little teaser,
it's
just a little
the app.
teaser of what's to
Lauren said
come,
we might be
right?
bringing some fried calamari to the table
Okay.
today.
Okay.
But you know,
Metanon sauce.
What's the main course in that scenario?
Ooh.
Filet mignon.
Man,
New York
I'm
strip,
always-
medium rare.
Yeah.
Oh, medium
Yeah.
rare
Come on.
only.
Yeah, medium rare.
If
Medium
you
rare.
say
a
well
little,
done,
a little
Chef's
can't be
recommendation.
friends.
I'm usually a chef's recommendation person on the steak, but
I like
medium
that.
rare is the go-to.
Listen, you live life on the edge,
Hey.
Evan, if you're
You
chef's
know?
recommendation. Huh?
That's a
can
good
get
way to
with it.
live, though.
Oh, it is.
They know
When
what's
they come
best.
out and tell you how the
don't.
chef recommends it's cooked and you do something different,
It's,
you're ruining the
You
experience,
ruined it.
right?
You ruined it.
Speaking of cooking, the temperature is not terribly hot out there. Again, we've talked about it a few times. We are here in the historical Carson, California,
Let's go.
where we have had and battled some very hot temperatures. I can specifically relive 2015 Murph. As an individual athlete. Now, of course, that was in July. That was in late July, and this is
Yeah.
we're in May here, folks. We ain't even quite to June. So we came at the right time to California, but what a historical place we're watching this go down. We got fans, you mentioned, Evan, are trickling into
Yeah.
the stadium. It's a Friday. They leave them work early to come
They're
party
leaving
with
work
us.
early to come party.
It's
They're
gonna
on a
be a-
plane right now, arriving, getting here.
It's going to be a
Happy
packed
hour
house
with
tomorrow on
us.
Sunday. That's
Happy
right.
hour with us. We got
right.
Tall Boy Beers right outside this door. I can testify to that.
Where is it? Did you already finish it?
Yeah, I wish you would
I
have brought
threw
one
it
in
away
here.
before
with
I
me.
came in here because I was like, I didn't know if that was the jam.
We won't
do you
judge
have-
you.
That was
Do you
the
have
vibe.
a beverage when you order your appetizer?
So, I work with a company called Spirited Hive. They're a
Okay.
better for you canned cocktail. They were out at Wadapalooza. It's all the flavors are sweetened organically with honey.
Okay.
Based
Oh,
out of
that sounds
Nashville,
delicious.
Tennessee. It's fantastic. I think Sydney Wells reps Spirited Hive, so let's
Oh,
go.
I did see that
Yeah,
recently.
they're fantastic. The vodka one is my favorite. But yeah, you know, I was just hammering a Mick Ultra out here 'cause watching my calorie count, you know.
Yeah, there you go. Happy days.
And it is a party, folks. You mentioned community, man, and that's something that brings you in when you come to a festival like this, because that's what I'll call all these are like fitness festivals
Yes.
in a way. These the fittest people in the world congregate together to have fun. Some of them wear half of their clothing.
Yeah.
There are alcoholic beverages shared, and there's delicious food around.
Yes,
you know
that's
what I mean?
how you take it in.
That's how you take it in, and you're rooting for some of your friends, family,
Yeah,
or some of
yeah.
your idols out there on the stage. But that's very much the vibes here in Carson
Yeah.
right now.
Well, and as you get to know the athletes, Sam Dancer's become a good friend. Dani Speegle, Danielle Brandon, and I've played pickleball with them. You know, Sam Dancer just did a big pickleball thing. Like, they're fun, highly elite level athletes, especially in this space, obviously. But the way that they relax and enjoy their time is right in line with what I do, and that was one thing that was so appealing about the CrossFit community to me.
Yeah, we're all humans, man.
We're all humans.
They might be achieving something at a pretty high level, but they started in a very similar way that most people walk through the walls of a CrossFit gym, get kicked in the mouth by a CrossFit workout that humbles them tremendously, and then...
And the ones that become elite level athletes at this sport are the ones that love that, right? And they're like, I'm going to beat this, you know?
That's right.
I'm going to do this, so that's cool.
It's very cool, and we just have a finisher. Did you see exactly what her time was, Lauren?
I didn't. It was just under 24 minutes, Caitlin Bernardin. And this is her first semifinal appearance.
Yep.
way to set up the time to beat
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
2 heats.
It's a great way, and I thought she did an amazing job pacing that. I mean, look now, we were looking at the Carissa Stagg who was following her.
Yep, she's coming
just
in right now.
coming to her barbell. So what a way to pace that workout, especially being I didn't know this was her first semi. So Bernadine executing at a very high level there on the first workout.
Yeah, and she came into semifinals, 36th position overall, affiliate, back-to-back CrossFit.
Where's she out of again? Back-to-back CrossFit, that's
Yes,
right. Yeah.
yep.
Thank you. Crushed it. What a feeling, right?
Yeah, and so Carissa Stapp, who led the way for 2 of the 5 rounds, now will finish more than a minute after Caitlin. So pacing.
Yep.
That's what it's all about.
Pacing and self-awareness. There's no doubt that capacity plays a role, but there's such a high level of opportunity or a high chance of opportunity for athletes just to misstep this workout because it's so long.
Yeah.
And I think there goes Jamie Hagia on her final run.
Final run, yep. Lane 1, we got Brittany Chestnut just finished hers, rated about 25.46. Emily White back in the house, touch and go, bottom left of your screen.
And Brittany Chestnut, she was actually a backfill scenario. She finished 42nd going into or after quarterfinal, so it's her first semifinal appearance as well.
Yeah, you wonder those backfill opportunities, did that just create a lot of freedom for her? No pressure, so she's going to show up, do her best. And she's like, oh, cool, it was a surprise I qualified. I'm going to just come throw down.
It's almost like the Kelly Baker effect.
That's right, from the CrossFit Games.
At the CrossFit Games when she didn't qualify to move on, or she didn't advance rather, from the cuts. And then it was Jamie Simmons who ultimately pulled herself out of the competition due to an injury. Kelly Baker eating a burger, drinking a beer. Hey, you got to compete tomorrow.
That's how I would want to come into the event, right there.
Exactly.
Takes the pressure off,
And
right?
do a lifting event
Takes
nonetheless.
the pressure off. You're doing a lifting event. You need the calories. I would probably have a burger and a beer 30 minutes before this event, I think would be my approach. But
We got 2 Kelseys going rep for rep, head to head here. Kelsey Peterson and Kelsey Keel. Hand in the air for Kelsey Keel. She only got 2 more reps. She's going to touch and go the final.
Let's go.
And that's time for her,
that bar is
27-20.
light for her.
Kelsey Peterson on her way to finish. She's got about 2 more repetitions left. Another athlete out of Idaho.
Love the pink shirt. Easy to see from here. Got some fans out there. Love it.
Morgan Porter all the way to the bottom left of your screen. She's finishing her final set as well. Aaliyah Miller, wild hair, red pants to the right of your screen. Touch and go, baby.
Let's go. She doesn't need a pink shirt. All you got to do is look for that ponytail swinging.
Yeah, I think she's going to hang on for all 10.
That's right.
Her judges' hands in the air.
There are some Olympic weightlifting coaches cringing at her technique right now. But I also want to share that, listen, we got weapons in our tool belt here.
That's how you do
folks,
it,
tools
right?
in the tool belt.
Just got to get
There's
it
a time
done.
to set up and execute with very beautiful form, with a nice long spine and an arch in your back, eyes forward, butt down.
Let's
but
go.
That wasn't one of them. Touch and go, slang and bang, finish the workout, do the thing.
Let's go, Elia. Come on.
The only event of the day. Then they got the afternoon off.
That's right. These athletes are going to, and sometimes that's a good thing and a bad thing, Lauren, right? There's going to be some athletes that nail the pacing of this workout and feel really good when it finishes. And there's going to be some that aren't, or they're going to take those missteps that we talked about are such a big trapdoor for this, and they're going to have to sit on it all the way until tomorrow. It's very rare that we've ever, if ever, started a competition with only 1 event in a day. Aside from the CrossFit Games, we've done some long tests where, hey, we just come back another day and start to be more scrappy with more events, but this is a very unique situation, so there's that mindset and mentality that plays a role in this too.
And people should not get married to the leaderboard. That is something that we've learned thus far, especially when you look at the first event. Only 1 event on day 1 has a significant amount of running, and then the snatch event where it's going to almost flip-flop some of these athletes aren't until the final day. So it's very interesting to see who can make some really big comebacks while we get to day 3.
I'd be taking advantage of that recovery area back there. It's nice. Got the ice barrel set up. Got all the things back there.
Yeah, they will. I think we got Aubriana Montplaisir banging away at these clean and jerks. And you talked about community, folks, and that's what you see right there, the bottom right.
Yeah.
Everybody's here. They're out for blood. They want to beat each other. They want every point they can, but nonetheless, they're going to root their fellow competitor on as she finishes here. And she got 15 minutes before the time cap. They're trying to push her to finish.
And this is her first semifinals. She did win an event in the Rogue Invitational Q, the online qualifier that had double unders, heavy clusters, bar muscle ups, and overhead squats. And speaking of overhead squats, her max is 240 pounds.
Dang.
So she might be somebody to watch once we get to the snatch ladder.
Yes.
That's right. That's right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back for heat number 2 of event 1 at the West Coast Classic. This is the formal beginning, I feel like, of the CrossFit season for these women. They are now in live person competition in Carson, California, where we've already got so much history, and now they're going to see what they're made of and can they punch a ticket to the CrossFit Games, which are in Fort Worth, Texas this year. I'm Adrian Conway, and I'm joined by Lauren Khalil, and we are joined by none other than the Kevin Ogar. How you doing, man?
Good, Adrian. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, sir. What's new in your neck of the woods? Because I just saw you. We were teaching a level 2 together.
Yeah, we taught level 2 together last weekend.
We were in Colorado, which is your home state.
Home state.
What else is going on in Colorado, man?
Just running my affiliate. So I own CrossFit Watchtower in Inglewood. So I do that. Mostly my wife does that, and I make bad jokes and cause problems. And then, I work for CrossFit as an affiliate rep. So I talk to affiliates pretty much all day, every day, and that's the bulk of my time there. And then just working on the wheel-wad stuff, the adaptive games.
Yeah, the adaptive games. And you're the director of sport for the adaptive games?
Yeah, I am the head of sport.
There we go.
Head of sport, and then Chris Stoutenberg, who is one of the co-owners of WheelWad, is technically the event director. He is.
Got it.
He is our Dave Castro.
Okay.
You're Dave Castro. I love it.
Well, this is our team, and we're going to be with you guys throughout this heat. Now, I want to be clear. This workout, event 1, it's a doozy. They're running 800 meters. They're going to come back here, and they're going to do 10 clean and jerks at 125 pounds. They're going to do 5 rounds for time. Now, the course here, of course, you're not looking at athletes right now if you're watching us live, but if you're watching this from a highlight package, you're going to see the beautiful terrain that they get to run through because they are in a very storied place and very storied atmosphere. They're going to literally run out of this tennis stadium into a slight incline for about 25 to 30 meters and then be pretty flat for 75. They're going to then get to another 10 to 15 meters of a decline into the soccer stadium, where they're actually going to run around the soccer stadium, not quite to the top of the berm that we've seen athletes have to maneuver throughout the history of our sport here in Carson, but they're going to go partial the way up and then make their way back through the loop. Now, from what we understand, this course is relatively open, so we will see some moves be made throughout the run. I know earlier I was looking at the course, Kevin, and I was like, I think athletes really have to push early just to kind of get into a spot because there's not enough room to pass. But taking further looking on it, it looks like they'll be able to make some moves and then, of course, back into the tennis stadium. Then we'll pick up, and athletes are going to be here for clean and jerks.
It sounds like a fun event, man. Like this would be my jam. A little bit of cardio, lots of heavy weights.
And that's the thing. Those weights could be a trap. We've already seen it in the first heat where athletes, they're off to a strong start, but then once you get into that 3rd, 4th, and 5th round, other athletes that might have a better pacing strategy are actually the ones that ultimately end up on top. We just saw that with Carissa Stapp. She won heat 1, 20 athletes in that heat, now the next 20 in this one.
And we'll see. We're coming up on that time where athletes are going to start to re-enter the stadium, but we've got a packed heat here. We've got Haley Kanthak, we've got Trista Smith, Janie Chevry, Bethany Flores, Stady Liram, Nicole McGinia, Devin Kim, Hattie Canyo, Arielle Loewen, Abigail DeMitt, Alex Gazan, Emily Rolfe, Rebecca Fuselier, Gabrielle Spence, Olivia Kerstetter, Kyra Milligan, Sydney Michelishin, Dani Speegle, Allie Scudds, and Lindsay Martin all here. And we've got several women with hands on the bar already into round 1 of clean and jerks.
Yeah, and it's very, you got to pay attention because Emily Rolfe, even though she wasn't the first athlete that we saw come in the stadium, based on her location of that barbell, she was able to get to work first. She is in lane 9. That's going to be the bottom left part of your screen. Braids and black sports bra. She's also an athlete we're certainly going to be watching, knowing how strong of a runner she is.
Yeah. Kevin, we've seen this workout go down already in a few regions or a few semifinals. We've seen some athletes choose to go touch and go. It typically seems as though singles are the move to make if you're going to last the duration of this test. What would you think coming out the gate when you read a workout like this?
You know, looking at this workout, I would be really worried of getting caught into watching someone else's pace on the barbell and trying to go faster than my pace would go, and really burying myself for those last 2 rounds. That barbell is going to get really heavy, especially coming in off a run, and controlling your breathing coming in off that run to start moving that barbell. A steady pace is going to be a lot better on that barbell than trying to sprint through it.
I couldn't agree more. I think and that was part of, I put some time to think about what my approach would be generally for workouts just like this. And of course I had to accrue them in my Go Ruck Steps to Success. And with this particular event, the first point is pace, don't race. It's very easy, like you mentioned exactly, to run someone else's pace. And if you come out trying to be someone that you're actually not, it's going to only set you up for success. And then you're going to be spending several minutes just to get through the last 10 to 20 clean and jerks, and you do not want that sensation. Point number 2 is break, don't wait. Mechanics matter, not break, don't wait. That was for another test. It's coming up later this weekend. We're going to put that in the back pocket. But mechanics do matter here for the clean and jerk. When we think about them accumulating 50 repetitions here, we talked with Henshaw just a little bit ago, and he was saying that if an athlete's come in, which I saw several in this last heat, I was kind of counting in my head as I watched them. If you're doing a clean and jerk faster than every 5 seconds, a lot of times you're just accumulating an amount of fatigue that makes you slower on the run. And because you're going to spend more time on that run as you get out there and navigate that course, it feels good, but it's a trap with the barbell.
I would definitely struggle with the run, Adrian.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Not in my wheelhouse.
Not in your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
You go.
Kevin came loaded with the jokes today.
Oh, yeah. You got to keep them rolling,
Got to keep them rolling, man. When we think about that, actually, in regards to like a wheel wad workout or a different variation, what would a test like this look like on the wheel wad side of things in the realm of competition?
So this is obviously classic CrossFit, and that's a lot of what we like to program for our adaptive athletes. And so the general structure probably wouldn't change too much. Distances would change based on division. So like our upper divisions will probably do a very similar distance on the run, but a decreased load on the barbell. Where opposed like maybe one of our neuro divisions or one of our seated divisions, we would decrease that distance on the run. Obviously decrease the weight on there. And like for someone like seated, instead of having them go to the ground, we would have them go from the lap to mimic that same time domain of getting from ground to overhead for an able-bodied athlete. It's a lot more of a difficult move to go from ground to lap for a seated athlete, and so we would generally have them go from lap to overhead. But structure would stay the same. It would just be adapted for the distance of that run to keep that same time domain that you would see from the elite able-bodied athletes on an 800 meters, and then a weight that they can move similarly, so that weight that's like slightly above what's comfortable.
Okay. I like it. And yeah, like you mentioned, this is classic CrossFit. Okay. With that classic CrossFit in consideration, but understanding we've got monostructural piece in the running coupled with the weightlifting on the barbell in the form of clean and jerk. Lauren, did you have anyone that you were watching particularly for this heat? Like, hey, listen, we getting ready. We're covering this, you and I, tomorrow. It's not like we're picking winners necessarily, but who do you have your eyes on for an event like this?
My eyes are on Emily Rolfe, and she has taken a top 10 finish 75% of the time in events with running, but 25% of the time with events with clean and jerk. I feel like the clean and jerks are not going to be as big of an issue with this format of an event. But again, when speaking with athletes at semifinals last weekend in Europe, some of them were saying that this felt more of a clean and jerk workout, and that could just be strategy. That could also be knowing that it's a 30-minute time cap workout. But there you see her. She just started the second round, first one to the barbell, just under 8 minutes and 25 seconds.
And about 5 seconds ahead of the next competitor putting her hands on the bar. Emily Rolfe is there, and she's sitting here. She's in lane 9. We got Bethany Shadburn, another very recognizable face across the way, making work through her clean and jerks. Arielle Loewen just entered the stadium. Abigail Domit, same idea. She just put her hands on the bar there in lane 11. Now, something to be said, folks, as you watch the layout of the stadium floor, it's clearly in a circular or square-based shape, and the athletes started and finish each round exactly where they are. So sometimes they come in together in a pack and it looks like they're all equal, but in reality, just like Emily Rolfe is the first one with her hands off the bar and back to the run into her third round of the 800 meters, it can be a bit deceiving. So you got to follow the competitor that you're watching all the way to the bar to really understand where they're at in their placement.
And Emily Rolfe already back on the run. You can see at the top right part of your screen, lane 20 in the neon sports bra, Haley Kanthok. She was competing right next to Emily Rolfe at the beginning, but when strategy comes into play, when pace comes into play, now you see that she's had several athletes already pass her starting their next round.
Then to the right of your screen in lane 3, Dani Speegle just putting her hands on the bar for her conclusion of round 2. Certainly someone who we know and expect will move external loads at a great way. But coupled with a long run like this will be one of those events for her where we see where she finishes. Is it toward the mid-pack? Is it toward back of the pack? And a way for her to do damage control to set herself up for success for the rest of the weekend.
And then in lane 19, there's about 1 rep left. Trista Smith in the sunglasses, black sports bra, heading on her run right now. This is the first year that she is forced to only compete in the elite individual. She is a consistent podium athlete for the teen division. So this year, all of her eggs, they got to be in the elite division.
Yeah, and that's interesting as we continue to watch young women and young men age up in our sport from the teen division, where we might watch them for many years, kind of come into this gray area of development where they're not necessarily ready to punch individual tickets. Now, we've seen some of them do it. One on the competition floor right now, Olivia Kerstetter, who we see grinding through this workout as well. But it's just an interesting phase where we watch these elite level teen athletes start to find their way competing against grown men and women.
Yeah. And also Sydney Mikulisha and Dani Speegle, they're off on their run. This will be the third of 5 rounds that they are beginning.
And we see, it looks
and
like
Alison
Alison Scudds.
Scudds.
Yep.
You can tell from the scrunchy bow. She's been seen wearing that on the floor. I love it.
It's a go-to
Helps her
for
stand out.
Folks, I want to say, like, this is historical for me. I've been out on that competition floor. I've had family here in the stadium watching me compete. And you know what they're doing when I'm pacing something like Allie Scudds is doing right now? Because she's probably doing exactly what she planned to do, right? They're like, go, pick up the bar. Why aren't you going faster? You can go, right? Like, there's all these things being able. People watching at home, now not many of you, because I know the ones that are tuning in right now are typically, they're the diehards, but people have this misconception of just because you can means you should, right? Like, hey, Adrian, can't you touch and go that barbell? Why aren't they doing it out there, Kevin? Why pace?
I mean, it is going to crush them if they don't pace, man. Like that barbell feels heavy when you start. It gets real heavy when you finish, and it's that trap. And I like them having to look across the way and watch each other, because that's
I wish they
a
were
huge,
closer.
I mean, they're athletes. They're competitors, and they're watching the people around them for sure. And having that person staring you down across the way, knowing that you have a certain amount of time before they get to you on the run around, that you have to get those reps in. It's a beautifully laid out workout to trap you into going too fast so you get to the end and like not be able to move that heavy barbell.
So then what is that balance of staying in your own lane, sticking with your paces and your splits if you've timed them out before, but then competing next to people and knowing that there's only 8 game spots on the line?
You know, my general, when I look at a workout like this for myself, I'm looking to almost negative split my rounds.
Yep.
Where each round gets a little bit faster, and so I know I have enough energy left by round 4 or 5 that I can really, send it if I need to. Because if I send it too quickly or send it too early, and then I don't have the gas to push at the end when someone's bearing down on me, that's when I lose that spot. But if I can start at a good pace and slowly pick that pace up across those 5 rounds, by that 4th or 5th rounds when everyone else is spent because they didn't pace, I can now sprint past them. And it's one of my favorite things to do as a competitor because it frustrates the people around you. And what's more fun than frustrating your competitors?
There's absolutely nothing. As we watch Emily Rolfe enter the stadium and start doing clean and jerks at about 3:21, she seems to have created more separation between her and the next competitor, which I can't tell what lane that is that's on clean and jerks right now beside her. Folks, as you watch this play out here, clean and jerks are clean and jerks, right? There's nothing fancy about them, but how you get them done is extremely important. Can you keep the bar close to your body? Trace the silhouette of your body every time that you jump the clean to your clavicle. And then can you also understand how to drop the bar appropriately? Kevin, we talk about doing singles and how important that is here. Sometimes you drop the bar and you have this huge temptation to step back, right? And it might not even look like much, but it's like this subtle, oh, I'm going to step back and give myself a second to restart. But boy, that adds up because you got to do 50 of these things.
I mean, not to use too many old CrossFit references, but every second counts on that. So
hey, let's use all the references, bro. Let's do it. Yes,
so
you're right.
That little step back, if you don't practice cycling singles and you get into a workout where you have to cycle singles, it's going to hurt you because it's a mental game of dropping the bar and trying to get right back on it for the next one.
Yep. And I think that we see some of that from the savvy veterans. We see Arielle Loewen, no steps. We see Abigail DeMitt, no steps. We see Alex Gazan, no steps. In fact, they step to the bar. They don't do that slight step back or step away, and that will add up for them over time, to say the least, as they're looking to make sure that they nail their pace, but clearly be able to have the shortest time possible.
So we do have Emily Rolfe is in the lead, and then Haiti Canyo, it was the second one to finish her clean and jerks and is on her fourth round of the run.
Arielle Loewen and Abigail DeMitt now on their way out of the stadium. Dani Speegle back into the stadium for her third round of clean and jerks.
I know my wife's at home right now cheering for Arielle Loewen. She's a Arielle Loewen fan and friend, and I know she's super pumped to see her out there on the competition floor doing well in this workout.
A mom, somebody who gets fitter with age, and if that's the case, finishing third at the games last year, second to first, who knows what's in store for Arielle Loewen.
That's right, and it looks like we've got a handful of women coming out again. Olivia Kerstetter, one of them, heading back out of the stadium. Olivia was the CrossFit Games Rookie of the Year last year. She wasn't necessarily the top-rated rookie at the CrossFit Games, but she was the top. She was the top, and on the female side, she had the best year for the rookies. That's for sure. This workout wouldn't necessarily be coined as a strong suit for her. She's strong on the barbell, but how has her monostructural conditioning increased? How well of a runner has she improved? So we're going to get a really good measure of that as we watch this test continue to play out for her and her development. But I'm certain that that's something. I believe now she's a proven athlete, still works closely with Jacob Hebner, though, is going to be something that she's put a lot of time and a lot of hours into, I'd assume.
And keep in mind, she just graduated high school. I'm pretty sure, like, recently.
Wow.
So now being able to put full time into being an athlete, I think it's yet to be known if she's going to move to Nashville to train in person. Nonetheless, she has Jacob Hebner's barn that she trains regularly in person with. She's got a lot of great people in the space in her corner that she's so young and so good that she's got a long runway to see what her career and where her career is going to take her.
Yeah, I agree. You got a long runway and a lot of development. Now, we just saw Devin Kim finish up her clean and jerks on the left of your screen, and it looked like she was in a bad spot. And I say that just by reading body language. Stepping back, putting her hands on her knees, elbows to the thighs. That's how you know that there might have been that signaling where she came out a little hot. Maybe too many of those clean and jerks happened too closely together. Again, we know, even talking with Chris Henshaw, 5 seconds might be that sweet spot for executing a clean and jerk. Put you in a spot to be able to push the run still. Kevin, what do you do if you find yourself in a situation where 17 minutes into a 30-minute cap of a workout, you're in a bad spot?
Ooh, I try not to do that. But
we all try not to do that.
I am notorious for doing that. And that's that hang-on phase. That's a gut check, a mental check where you actually have to start to focus back in on how you're moving the barbell because you're already tired.
Right.
And if you let that tired or the tiredness or the fatigue set in and start moving worse, it just snowballs from there. So like my goal is when I start to get into that place where I push a little too fast, a little too soon, is really try to focus back in on how I'm doing the things that I'm doing, and then focusing on my breathing, specifically if I'm going to do like a long, well, not a long run, Adrian, but like a long push.
Yep.
That's when I would start focusing back in on my breathing to see if I can't get a little extra recovery in between reps or in and on that run.
Emily Rolfe back in the stadium, leading the way just like she was. Hands on at 18:28. Let's see how soon a fellow competitor comes into the stadium and gets those hands on that bar. Again, she led by about 10 seconds on the last round, and she's certainly created a much larger gap now as she's almost approaching halfway through this round of clean and jerks.
Now, fun part, if you guys want to watch the adaptive stuff that we have coming up.
We always do.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Is that these athletes have to worry about fatigue. A lot of our adaptive athletes not only have to worry about fatigue,
right.
but is their piece of equipment, is their strap going to work, is their wheelchair going to stay in place? There's a lot of factors that play into adaptive athletes doing a very similar workout to this. And the fun part about this is, like, I know I can think of a few athletes off the top of my head that could handle this exact workout, no adaptations needed, at the same weight, and probably get fairly similar scores. We're talking about guys doing like one-arm clean and jerks with that same 185, 125.
Freaks, man.
Freaks of athletes.
Yeah,
yes.
it's amazing, and what our mind is capable of is always a great reminder to watch the adaptive side of our space, because there are people out there in this world that have completely able and no limitations, and they doubt their ability to step through the walls of a CrossFit gym. And when you look at our adaptive community, that is only validation to say, hey, it's a place for everybody and anybody, and we can scale to meet you exactly where you are.
Yeah.
You got one working arm, one working leg, no legs at all. Like, whatever we need to do, we can help enhance your life with CrossFit.
Well, and I think the special part about this, and you see this with like the camaraderie on the competitors and the people wanting to come and watch and listening on this podcast and everything, is that like it's so welcoming. And it's not a separate community. Mm-mm. Like, if you go to events or even at like the CrossFit Games last year with adaptive and able-bodied athletes, teens, masters, at all, it's one giant community that's super supportive of all these different things, and like the respect comes from hard work, not just from where you place. And I absolutely love that about this community. Is like, it doesn't matter where you finish, it matters how hard you push.
It is. It's all about how hard you push. And right now, we are in the latter part of this workout for many of these individual women who are heading out of the stadium currently, and they are going to have to do just that. They're going to have to push right now, because this is the point in the weekend where it's early. Yes, it's only one score, but we're talking about 8 spots to the CrossFit Games, and we're talking about the fittest women on earth right here in the west side of the country. So they're going to have to push on these 800 meters. It's not going to be comfortable, and they're going to have to find a way to kind of dig a little bit and get there. But back to what your point was, Kevin, there's no separation. You and I just taught a level 2 in Colorado together. Mm-hmm. We did the same workout together on Sunday.
We did.
We hit a little bench press.
Yes,
then we hit a little Tabata.
Of course, we hit a bench press.
Duh.
If Kevin's around, you're going to bench press.
You're going to bench press, man. It's just it's what it is.
Really, we did that because you wanted to go up to 4 wheels and like 4 lifts and prove to me how inferior I was on the bench press. That's what it was, folks.
The trick to getting your bench press up is to stop squatting for like 10 years and then still work out every day.
Got it.
It really helps get your upper body mass going, And who needs squats anyway? They only help with like everything else in life.
Only
Just
everything else. That's right. Well, a young woman who we know has been doing a healthy amount of squats is Rebecca Fuselier, who is literally sending herself out and around the competition floor right now in the very American-looking red, white, and blue.
Love it.
People will remember her from a very, very memorable experience in her rookie debut at the CrossFit Games during an event called the Capitol, where it was just an absolute spectacle to watch the community rally behind her. She was one of the last ones to finish that workout. But she's a particular individual who needed to improve her strength as capacity. She was a CrossFit Games teen athlete. Mm-hmm. Then she made it as a rookie. She's great on the gymnastics side, but really needed to lean in to training weakness. And I could be wrong, but it looks like she's gotten significantly stronger. Like, the barbell is not as much of a limitation as it once was for her.
You would be surprised. Neither of you would actually be surprised. Maybe the viewers at home would be surprised at what a year off. I mean, I know she tried to qualify for the games last year, but missed out. But not having to compete at the CrossFit Games and having a year off to really build strength.
Sorry to cut you off, Lauren, but again, the body language. Devin came here to the left of her screen. Like, she was literally on her knees on bar, just waiting and not doing any reps. Like, I think she's past that point of redlining, if we would. You know what I mean? And this is what you want to avoid while you're in the middle of this thing. This is a young athlete who was initially going to go team and then decided Indy.
Well, and there was an injury involved, too, that giving a little bit more time to do quarterfinals for individual versus when she would have had to do it for team, that could be playing a factor right now.
Was it her back? Was it a back?
I think so.
Okay. I'm not 100% sure either, but I thought that's what it was as well. And there's a lot of hinging here. Clearly, these are power clean and power jerks, and it's going to blow up your posterior, no doubt about it. But she's a young athlete with great promise, and you just wonder if it was a pacing issue or if there's more complications there that could be limiting her.
Emily Rolfe back to the bar for the final round, leading the way. As she headed out the door, it was Haiti Canyo right
Okay.
behind her, and then Lindsay Martin just behind. So that would be our top 3. And coming in right now, this is Haiti Canyo. This will be her her third appearance at individual semifinals. On the left part of your screen in the green pants. And then also Lindsay Martin, she's going to be black sports bra, red pants, maroon pants on your right screen.
This is definitely a workout I want to go try. Like the more I watch it, the more I'm gonna go home and give it a shot.
But Abigail Domit on the bottom left part of your screen, she's going for touch and go, passing several athletes. Judge's hand is in the air. Emily Rolfe has finished. I didn't see her time. I'll have to check on that. But Haiti Canyo finishes the last clean and jerk, tumbles right to the ground. That's how you know max effort. Abby Domit, 24:48 unofficially.
That is some good bacon sizzling down there.
That is threshold training at its finest. When you finish and you lose complete body control, barely throw yourself out of the way of the barbell, and now you've got to watch out for on running competitors. You've hit the sweet spot, to say the least.
No comfortable position there. There's no way you could lay or curl your body up to make yourself feel better at that point.
No. And Lindsay Martin at the top right of your screen, she's just finished as well.
Bethany Shadburn to her bar, Arielle Loewen to her bar, Alex Gazan, all working through their final set of clean and jerks here.
Again, this is going to give the athletes the opportunity to bump into the final heat tomorrow. Today we see these heats of 20, but tomorrow there's going to be 4 of 10. So this is going to earn them that final heat for 2 events.
Gazan finishing. We've got some cool world record numbers to be able to compare to, but you know what? The unique part about being in Carson is that they do get a little bit of that up and down in the terrain here. And so while it's an 800-meter run for all semifinals, the terrain and the courses are certainly playing a key role in the variance of times and scores that we're going to see. All right, Kyra Milligan to the bar for her final round, and touch and go, no problem for her in the bottom right. Someone that's very acquainted and familiar and has great ability to excel on a barbell, probably pace the runs just enough so she could have an opportunity to excel at the clean and jerks on every round. Olivia Kerstetter, rep for rep with Kyra Milligan. Olivia still has 4 reps left. Kyra's down to 2. She's going to touch and go. 1 more rep for Kyra.
I think that's the important you see in pacing. If you can end that with the touch and go after all 5 of those rounds and pass some of those athletes back up, that means you probably pace this workout perfectly.
Yep. Fuselier here, bottom of your screen, middle, red, white, and blue. 1 rep left. She brings it home as well. Now we still have athletes out on the run, still coming back in to enter the stadium.
Just bodies.
Yeah.
Carnage.
Yeah, just when now when they're running in, they just have to avoid the athletes on the ground.
Yeah. Watch out for the bodies.
Sydney Mikulishin making her way in. Bit of a redemption year for Sydney potentially if she comes in and does her thing. She missed out last year.
Just missed out, and she recently moved with her coach to Proven to Nashville, training in person. And last time I spoke with her was at the 24.3 Open announcement. She said it was the best decision she made to move to train in person with her coach, and she's feeling good. She's feeling strong. I mean, her body language on the barbell still looks great.
Yep. Her and Speegle rep for rep. Speegle easy touch and go. Not only just she started push pressing these things to start the round. Now she's push jerking them, but easy to see where she excels in the form of modality on the barbell. Mikulishin bringing it home here. Alison Scudds still making her way to the barbell for her final round. Devin Kim on to her final clean and jerks. Mikulishin done. Both these women are going to have an opportunity to finish the workout. They got more than 90 seconds left.
And just for reference, Emily Rolfe, she has 12 event top 2 finishes with running in her career. Not bad at all. Alison Scudds, and she's done.
Yep. That'll do it. They brought it home. They brought it on and they brought it home. Well, what a way to start the weekend for these individual women. We're gonna settle back and get some standings here, but when we think about the execution of Emily Rolfe, she was able to put on a pacing clinic. She didn't necessarily lead right out of the gate. She didn't create a ton of separation between rounds 1 and 2. But what did she do? She did exactly what we said were part of the Go Ruck steps to success, which was to pace, not race. She knew exactly what she needed to do out the gate. And then she seemed like, Kevin, like you mentioned, she was almost able to build intensity and urgency as she was continually running almost faster and faster each round. At least that's how it appeared as she created greater and greater separation.